Hello, welcome to TisTalk.
This is a podcast coming from Tisbury, Wiltshire and surrounding villages. I'm Julianne Murphy.
And I'm Mary Myers.
It's the week beginning Monday the 7th of October.
Yeah, Thomas Humphreys.
Yeah, hello Mary.
Oh, sorry. Hello, Julianne. Sorry to jump right in there. But I was just remembering our chat with Thomas Humphreys.
Yeah, on Carnival Day.
It was nice, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And so he's that keen young journalist from America, from Martha's Vineyard. And he's much, much, much younger than I ever expected.
Yeah, so he was very young, very keen, very
nice.
On the ball.
Yes.
Chap.
So
and
we've got him talking today.
Yeah, about impressions of Tisbury.
Yes,
yeah.
And he's very positive. And it's all part of his bit of journalism that he's doing about the history of Tisbury and the link between Martha's Vineyard, Tisbury and our Tisbury and Chilmarks and other places around here, and about the link with the East Window and the fact that the congregation over there has paid for some of the East Window.
That's right.
And he also met the stained glass window artist.
That's right.
Yeah.
As well as meeting us. So we have him on today.
Yes.
What else have we got, Mary?
Well, we've got a lovely review by Kate Gam of a French film called The Taste of Things with your favourite French star, Juliette Binoche.
That's properly pronounced.
And we have part 3 of the Yew Tree.
Ah, yes. Okay.
So Liz Coyle-Camp this week is talking about the Saxons. It's another treat for us to have her on again. And then I think we've got the What's Ons, and that makes for quite a complete show.
Okay.
First, Julianne and I speak to Thomas Humphreys from Martha's Vineyard. We spoke to him last Saturday in Beaton's on the day of the carnival. Just as a reminder, Thomas Humphrey is a journalist in Martha's Vineyard, where there is another Tisbury and another Chilmarks, and we are kind of cousins.
Well, I'm writing an article for Martha's Vineyard magazine about the history of the connection between Tisbury, England and Tisbury, Martha's Vineyard, and Chilmarks, England and Chilmarks, Martha's Vineyard as well. The article has its focus in particular on the new East Window project at the St. John's Church in town. St. John's Church in particular has a close connection to Martha's Vineyard because first governor of the island and one of the founding white settlers of the island, Thomas Mayhew, was baptized in that church. In the Episcopal Church in Tisbury and Martha's Vineyard, we have a replica of that baptistry. And over the years, locals on island who are very interested in local history have reawakened interest in the English connections, the original Tisbury and the original Chilmarks. But those have always been kind of intermittent. The interest has fallen off and fallen on again, but more recently the East Window project has kind of brought new attention again to the connections across the Atlantic between the two Tisburys.
Yeah, so a group, I think, led by Sean Moran has been over. There's been a connection continued. But tell us, what are your first impressions of just getting off the train and arriving here in Tisbury?
It's beautiful. I think the first word I would use to describe it is lush. It's right when I walked off the train, I saw the Nadder River, which I thought was really stunning, and everything was, kind of how you picture the almost like Tolkien-esque English countryside. It's very kind of thick and mossy, and everything's kind of small. The houses are all kind of made of stone, and yeah, it's very, very, very pretty.
And I understand you're walking more or less everywhere, and you came past Place Farm earlier?
I went to Place Farm, which I thought was beautiful. I took some pictures for my friends at home of the signs that said Chilmarks and Tisbury, because I knew they would be rather confused as to where I was. And this morning I also got to talk to Tom Denny, who is the artist working on the East Window project, who is a super fascinating person, a really interesting artist with an interesting approach, and I got to see his mock-up and talk about the craft of stained glass windows, which was very, very interesting.
We understand that there's been funding, or at least donations, on your side of the Atlantic for this East Window. Do you know the full story behind that?
I know a few people that I've met who are locals interested in vineyard history wanted to contribute. I believe also our Episcopal Church over there contributed to the project, and we also at the Episcopal Church now have a clone of the ancient yew tree in Tisbury that grows at our very own St. John's in Tisbury, Massachusetts.
Just a little bit about you, Thomas. You said ages and ages ago you were here with your family, but it can't be that long ago because you don't look old enough to talk about ages and ages ago.
I'm 24 years old.
Okay.
So I would have been maybe six years old. That seems like ages to me.
Okay.
Maybe when I'm older that'll seem like a blink of an eye.
And now you're over in Europe at the moment. Just tell us why.
I'm studying the Italian language in Perugia as I kind of pursue growing and developing more as a writer and branching out in new and interesting ways.
Yeah, so you're specifically here for tomorrow's meeting about the East Window. Well, what do you hope to get out of that meeting, Thomas?
Well, really, I want to learn the story of this project. I know it's been in the works for quite a while. A lot of people have worked very hard on the project as well, and I want to get the whole story about, what was there before, why they're replacing the window, why this design, why now, and the kind of whole story about it.
We wish you well with that. We hope that meeting goes well. And also, it's fantastic that you've arrived here on Carnival Day.
I know, it was completely coincidental. I didn't even know there was a Tisbury Carnival before I booked my trip and started emailing people that I was going to come, and everybody said, well, you're coming on Carnival weekend.
Yeah. Eating, enjoy the Carnival, enjoy walking around this area. And
thank you. Well, yeah, it was so great to meet you both in person for the first time.
Yeah.
Thank you, Thomas, and sorry for getting your name wrong. It's Thomas Humphrey, not Thomas Humphreys. And we'll have an update on the progress of the East Window at St John's Church in the coming weeks, here on TisTalk.
This is TisTalk from Tisbury, Wiltshire.
Now, Kate Gann reviews The Taste of Things, a new film showing at the Victoria Hall this coming Sunday.
Coming soon to the Victoria Hall is the next screening in the Magic Lantern film series. The Taste of Things, set in 19th century rural France, explores the relationship between Eugénie, an esteemed cook played by Juliette Binoche, and Dodin, her long-term employer and something of a gourmet himself, played by Benoit Magimel. This shared love of food and cooking creates a bond between master and servant, breaking down the class barrier between them. If anything, it gives Eugénie the upper hand, since Dodin wishes to further their relationship. Shot in just 6 weeks, the film is sumptuously lit and staged, with long sequences of food being prepared, cooked and served with care and attention to detail. Above all, it shows cooking and the sharing of food as an expression of love. And the fact that Juliette Binoche and Benoit Magimel were once partners in real life adds a certain frisson to the whole story. The Taste of Things will be screened on Sunday the 13th of October at 7 o'clock. If you're not already a member of the Magic Lantern Film Club, you can buy a ticket for £8 adults, £5 for under 18s. Tickets are available at newvictisbury.com. And I suggest you eat before you go.
TisTalk, a podcast from Tisbury on tistalk.buzzsprout.com.
Next, we're thrilled to welcome back Liz Coyle-Camp with the third episode of the Yew Tree Chronicles, a fanciful history of Tisbury. This week, it's the Saxons.
Let me think. Where did we leave off? Ah, yes, the Romans. The Romans. Well, that lot just sort of blended in. I mean, it took a good few hundred years of marrying and making babies, but eventually the local tribespeople were no longer distinguishable from your average local Roman. Goodbye, Duro tribes. Hello, homogenized or Romanized Duro-Trigans. God, that was a tongue twister. Granted, the Roman ruling class held themselves a bit aloof. You could spot the JDFWs, that's just down for the weekend, in their two-wheeled chariots. But even they eventually upped sticks and hot-footed it back to Rome. All in all, in this neck of the woods, life carried on being pretty pleasantly peaceful. Well, at least for this young tree. Tisbury, as it was called in those days, was becoming a pre-medieval, much sought-after des res. Castle ditches, of course, had been long abandoned, and people seemed to prefer life down here in the valley. And then, what do you know, a new kid on the block. Around 400 AD, the Saxons arrive. Just one or two, nothing alarming at first. Even then, though, I have to say Tisbury was on a Roman road to nowhere. You really did have to have a good reason to come here, other than the crystal clear waters of the Nadder, its circle of protective hills, and most importantly, me, the most venerated tree in all of the Britons. OK, I might have made that bit up. But the reality was, if you came across Tisbury, it was going to be purely by chance. So the Saxons dribbled in, no big rush at first. I pause a little bit to hear about the Saxons. Well, they came from what you would now call Germany, driven out by the Huns and the Slavs who came from the east. Ugh, why is there always someone driving someone else out? It's something us trees can never fathom about the human race. Our motto is take root and stand still. So, the now Anglo-Saxons, as they preferred to be called, quickly in my book, probably slowly in yours, outbred the Roman British and were well on their way to taking over in all walks of life, including inventing a language known as Old English, which still includes the vast majority of words used in your everyday speech now. How interesting is that? Anyway, I digress. The really important thing I need to tell you is what they believed in, because it would have a profound effect on me, the marvellous Yew of Tisbury. As I remember it, religious belief took a whole new turn around this time. The Romans started it slowly, giving up their plethora of gods and systems of belief to take on a new doctrine called Christianity. To give the Romans their due, though, they might have been inclined to ruthless brutality, but in one big respect they had always been easygoing about what the locals believed in, and they didn't try and impose their gods on the Druids and the Duro tribes. But the idea of Christianity started to change all that, and by the time the Saxons' grip took hold on these islands, my time as a venerated species to be loved and worshipped was over. Instead, a building was raised right beside me, and they all went in there to pray to one god with no trees involved. Well, I took it on the branch, but inside I silently wept. Next week, monasteries and monarchies.
The Yew Tree Chronicles.
You're listening to TisTalk from Tisbury in Wiltshire and the Nadder Valley.
And here are the What's On listings with Louis Davison.
Hello, these are the What's Ons for the week beginning Monday the 7th of October. On Tuesday the 8th, there's chair yoga at Hinton Hall, organised by Memory Group. It's free and runs from 11:15 to 12:15. There's also a Tisbury History Society talk about the first great credit crunch of 1720 by Jim Williams. Members free and visitors only £5 each. On Wednesday the 9th, there's a pop-up cafe at 10:30 to 12 a.m. at Hinton Hall. On Thursday the 10th, Tisbury Natural History Society is doing a talk about hedgehogs at 7:30 p.m. in the Victoria Hall. Nothing on Friday the 11th, but on Saturday the 12th, the stage musical Miss Saigon is showing at the Victoria Hall at 7:30 p.m. via Cinema Live. Shot in front of a live audience at the Prince Edward Theatre, this epic love story tells the tragic tale of young bar girl Kim. Orphaned by war, she falls in love with American GI Chris, but their lives are torn apart by the fall of Saigon. The runtime is 3 hours 10 minutes, includes 2 intervals, and the tickets are £15. Under 18s are only £8. You can email newvictisbury@gmail.com for further details. On Sunday the 13th, there's The Taste of Things, a Magic Lantern Club film showing at the Victoria Hall starting at 7. Doors open at 6:30 p.m. It's £8 for non-members and free for members. That's all for this week. Bye-bye.
And we end with the soundscape from Alan Marion Davis of a blustery afternoon in Tisbury. He's sitting under his sycamore tree in his garden.
That's all from us. We've been Julianne Murphy
and Mary Myers, with special thanks to Kate Gamm, Liz Coyle-Camp, Louis Davison and Alan Marion Davis.
You can contact us on tistalkradio@gmail.com.